current philosophies, and last time is what about the theological foundation? So Christian education without theology, and then it doesn't make sense. So today we're gonna learn about the historical kind of foundation of education. So how it kind of evolved, and then how the Christians adopted education and then make their own. We cannot see kind of detail, but we can see kind of a glimpse of the kind of education in Christian education. So today we're gonna learn about what is the historical foundation of education. So you guys are ready? Okay, let's go. I can kind of, I divided it kind of a period of time. So each time is kind of, about 6, 7 and time period. And then first, and then education in Asian civilizations, before the Christianity start, like, if we count Abraham as the first kind of, generation of the Christians, and then, before the Abraham. Like, we around the Abraham period, Abraham is born in around 2150, around 2000-ish, and by kind of historians, and then and before the Abraham, BC, there is kind of countries kind of around Mesopotamia, around there. Sumer is one of the countries in around 3500 BC, and then there is kind of the country kind of established formal educations. There is artcraft found in reading and writing and arithmetic and vocational skills, and allegiance to the king were primary focus sites. So usually at that time, this kind of education is really kind of they equip the militaries, and they kind of nurtured how to how to kind of be loyal to kings, and focus on that one. But there is kind of a basic skills, right? You need to know how to calculate, and you need to know writing and reading. But later on, after that, the Persian period around and around the way and around after David, and after David around and 510,000 BC, and then they really emphasize on the character of the male student, or preparation for the military and political service. So when you see the education long time ago, usually mostly like until Rome period, they really focus on the what? And the military and political service, right? And then, there is a kind of education about developing characters, but not that much about that one. But so when you see the Romans, and then kind of what is called, they kind of equipped like I don't remember the word, and then there's kind of people who compete in their strengths, and we call I don't remember the word. It's not a military, but kind of it's like a sport. They show up their powers and skills, and then maybe I could look it up. And there is kind of Persian is kind of there is a kind of religion of Zoroastrianism and really focus, there is one of the religion is long-lasting before the kind of Christianity, and then influence a lot of Middle Eastern area and then Mesopotamia area, and then there is the Zoroastrianism is religion is and usually they have a ritual like how to worship their gods and how to serve what they keep, and all religious education really was central at the time. So it's a little bit different from Christianity, but it's a lot of similar things in with Christianity, like they were monotheistic, only serving one God, and they have a dualistic kind of worldview. So good and bad, and they have equal power, and they fight each other. But eventually, the good, the gods, it's gonna win. And and one of the differences is that, big difference is that we believe that we can go to heaven. They said that they can go heaven or hell. So if you do a lot of good things, like and then you can go to heaven. But the Christianity is kind of if you, how can you go to heaven? Through Jesus Christ, right? It's not a kind of what you need to good, and then just believe in Jesus Christ, and then you follow Jesus Christ, and then that's one of the way that we can save, right? That is a difference, though. But a lot of similar things there. But their education is really central how to follow, serve their gods, right? And kind of preparation. P there's a missing. Preparation for the hereditary priesthood was a major factor in schooling. So kind of it's a different, right? There is no man, woman, right? It's not like a homo, that society. What about the China? China is kind of it's really long time ago, and like 3000 BC, and then there is a formal school kind of established in 3000. And and the product, their cultural enrichment, and then really character education and music and poetry. It's not like the Eastern education, right? There is a little bit broader, music and poetry. Can you see that? And what about the philosophy? Maybe nowadays a lot of Chinese, musician. I mean, classical field, classical music field, and then very good pianist and violinist. I don't know. Maybe they origin from that one, but I'm not sure. Just kidding. And then they really focus on the philosophy. Each kind of dynasty period, and there is their own philosophy is kind of popular, like Confucianism. It's kind of influenced Korea and Japan, and so we know the kind of formed the Asian cultural kind of cultural Asian culture. It's really dominated and influenced a lot. I don't know. So I learned some kind of a philosophy when I was in Korea, but just long time ago, and then it's really emphasized on ethics and moralities, right? And then how to you kind of serve your parents, how to be good, do good behavior like this, and then that is and then another religion is Taoism. Do you know the Taoism? I don't know. The philosophy kind of developed into religion. That is kind of really think about the metaphysics like Platonism. Right? Think about describe the flow of the universe or the force behind the natural order. So a little bit different, right? So they are really compassionate and moderate and then humble, right? So really, Taoist, thought is focused on, I don't know, Wu Wei, spontaneity and humanism and relativism and emptiness and the strength of softness. Really, try to be beyond of the world, right? I don't know, it's right. And then there is another legalism. It's a kind of practical, pragmatic, political and philosophy. It's a kind of set a clear, strict law, and if you don't do it, and harsh punishment. Legalism. Another way is kind of influence of Buddhism, follow the Buddha's teaching, and another one is kind of Moism. I don't know. Kind of it's founded by Mozai around 450 to 390, promote the universal love with the aim of the mutual benefit. It's that kind of China's kind of philosophy kept rising in different philosophy, and then influence on the countries and kind of near the countries. But one of these really big things is Confucianism. It's really I already told you, and then really focus on morality, and then but in man-centered philosophical perspective. So, and maybe when you see the biblical culture, and when you other Eastern cultures, and then African cultures, and then a lot of really patriarchal society. It's not a matriarch, right? And really man-centered society. Say. What about Egypt? Egypt is kind of school system is kind of appeared around 500 BC, and there is kind of dual system. One is a school sponsored by his government. That one is kind of vocational and military training. So I don't know what kind of vocation, depends on. Nowadays we have a lot of training in different ways, but that is a military training and vocational training. And another school is a temple school. It's by religions, and then reading, writing, leadership in religious thought and observance. Two pillars of the education kind of influenced the country at the time. What about the biblical context in Hebrew? Hebrew is really monotheistic believe, yeah, they have a really monotheistic belief. It's only one God, not many gods like India, right? Not like other countries. And then really monotheistic belief and shape the culture of their community. So when you read the Bible, yeah, they don't allow. And then if they kind of lose their focus, and then God said, punish them. Sometimes eradicate the tribes and peoples, families like that. And there is really the righteousness of was not a set of arbitrary character trait, but the character of God. So God is righteous. So God is holy. So you need to be what? God. So imitating, try to be like God, and then God's character. That's their goal. It's not one character that maybe you can do, you cannot, you don't have to. But that's the kind of a mandatory that they gotta practice in their life, right? And they have a lot of laws, and social laws, and religious laws, and then, and a lot of laws, and then ritual laws, right? And they need to know. And look at this, and then the ritual observances of the community and the home life of the children was the primary vehicle of the transmission of the God-centered culture. So, what is the kind of really core of their education is kind of religious education, right? By priests, by other kind of later on there's kind of synagogues and other education, but mostly before that, and who was in charge of education? There is priest was there and some God's prophets there, but mostly they practice home, and parents kind of grandparents in charge of their children's education and then grandchildren's education, right? That is different. Nowadays, our education is by usually we kind of send our children to school, and school give them a lot of information, so they needed to know for their future, right? Some of them they never use them, but help them to develop their ability to think critically, and they help them to broaden their kind of ability in thinking ability like that, and that's why. But Hebrew kind of in the Hebrew context, families really played a pivotal role in education. So for the older people, not only the elite people groups such as like culture of the Asian News, and older people, they had some sort of education, right? So you gotta do it though. If you live in community and then if you don't follow it, then kind of cut off from the community. Sometimes, That's why they will not really keep the community, and then they don't allow them to marry outside kind of Israel community, right? There is if they want to do it, there is specific rule, laws there. So a little bit different though, right? Education, but it's really kind of the religion was at the center of education. What about the education in the Greek and Rome period? It's a little different, right? And Greek and kind of a contribution education of Western civilization. So usually formed a lot of things. The Western education is kind of formed based on the Greek education and the Roman education. Maybe Greek education is like it's kind of influence a lot on the ones of the Europeans. That's really abstract, and then but Roman styles education is really pragmatic, and then kind of influence on the northern America. So look at this, and then democratic society kind of society atmosphere over the militaristic kind of Sparta. So really they talk and then they think about and a little bit different, right? And so it's a kind of it's a lot of period is like 460, and then 430 is like it's really golden period of the education, because a lot of people influence on the that time influence in the education. So there's a lot of philosophy and kind of philosophers and coming out, right? So look at this educational process based on the kind of influence on the city, subsidized and significant scholarly community, and elite class citizens for the advanced learning. It really focus on the people, not everybody though, and for the elite people, but it really subsidize subsidize the significant scholarly community. So not to the everybody though, right? Some special groups, right? And nowadays it's kind of we cannot see that but if you go to other countries, and then you consider education quality is totally different. If you kind of reach and then power, and then they had kind of Western education style, education based on the Western education, and then the kids are coming to USA to study, right, for colleges. And then I know my daughters was in college, and a lot of people coming from Korea and China, and then sometimes they are from Africa, one of the countries, but behind and Indonesia and then other countries, but they are not ordinary people, kind of in terms of their socio-economic status. At least their economic status is pretty up there, really up there, otherwise really up there. So it's affordable for education, because US education is really expensive, right? It's not like that, but sponsored by government, like subsidized by the government, but it was a Greek, kind of at that time, in Greek at the time, the government subsidized, the city subsidized special group of really scholarly community, right? And just for the group and really focus on the man, it's not no education for women, no education for the slaves. Just think about, and even though they have education from the childhood and kind of specific and all this man-dominant society, and then education really focus, man-centered, right? So Athenian education is kind of theoretical, elitist, and then really euphoric. And so they like kind of really thinking about something that you cannot see, right? So they teach philosophy and literature and art. So we can see a lot of kind of they have myths and they have literatures, a lot of stories, and then what is the famous philosophers and Socrates and Plato and Aristotle shaped the kind of human critical reasoning. Just think about it. Socrates and then his method is kind of questions and let them answer and question and answer to question and answer. And through the process and what they developed how to think and how to kind of expand the thinking abilities and then critical reasoning. That's his way. And then what are Plato's? And then based on this one, and then Plato is really kind of mind-centered kind of thought. It's really idea in the kind of we cannot see, but really mental is really critical, logical, and reasoning. What about Aristotle? Aristotle is really different from Plato. Plato is kind of really metaphysics, but Aristotle really come down to based on the experience. A little bit difference, but think about the time period. I think this is might be age of golden period is maybe not the 430, maybe 330, right? I think it's 330. That one is maybe 330, not 430. Maybe and later on, that is kind of really influence for the kind of Renaissance and modern scientific kind of age period, and then give them like a critical reasoning, right, logical reasoning. So later on, that one is kind of really help them to jump into modernism. Modernism is really based on the reasoning and then reasoning and logic, right? And their education, Greek education, not that much practical, because always thinking about you cannot see, but it's kind of something is up there, and then they try to explain the what is something is kind of the what is absolute one is there, and then controls and create a whole universe. They will not kind of dig into that one. And that education is a little bit different from the Roman kind of education, though. Really abstract. That's why when you there is kind of education system and Platonic system of public education and Aristotle's kind of education. But if you see the Aristotelism is kind of Aristotle system is really not that specific there. But there is a divide, Aristotle divide kind of a 4 period of the time. So 0 to 7, 8 to 13, 14 to 8, and usually they plus 19 and based on the what? Support the government, so military training is of most school. But when they 0 to 7 is kind of it's not much education, but they learn through socialization, family and communities, and then 8 to 13 is kind of elementary school, like a formal education, is reading, writing, counting, and then after that, and secondary education is there, and history, drama, poetry, science, public, speaking, and the physical education, right? That is just think, it's a nowadays it's kind of junior high school and high school period they learn. And you guys see, you can see the lot of curriculum there. in the period, I don't know. Maybe if you are from China, I don't know the curriculum, but when I was in Korea and then, yeah, I learned the music. Poetry is kind of in the part of book and history and science, but there is no public speaking. Yeah, the Greek is kind of, debate is really important, right? That's why they learned how to present their thought, their idea. And then when I come over here, when I was in college, I never heard the kind of public speech. But when I come to here, when I went back to college in here, and then I learned I have to take a speech class. Yeah, a little bit different education style. From Korea and from here. And what about the Platonic system of public education is kind of I don't know. Maybe nowadays parents really focus on their Platonic is an infants is physical growth and development and kind of sensory development, no fear, child react to their pleasure and pains, and that is kind of try maybe a lot of psychology kind of based on that one, but I don't know. Nursery, like a play and Thousand Fairies Tales and nursery songs, and then myth and a lot of fun stories, and then seek to the kind of displaying the child's own wills, right? And what about the 16 to 13 is, 6 to 13 is from elementary education. It's almost the same period of time from with Aristotle, but a little bit, curriculum is a little bit, deep, it's like play, poetry, reading, writing, singing, dancing, religion, social etiquettes, numbers, geometries. What about 13 to 16? Play the guitar and then sing religious hymn and memorize poetry and arithmetic. A little bit in-depth and a little bit more advanced, right? But still, almost the same education, because period is a little bit different, but they lived almost the same time period. And then just think about the rise of 16 to 20s and gymnastics and military, and this formal gymnastics and then military training, no intellectual training anymore at this stage. They're already done, right? And they really focus on the you develop your physical strengths, and then you gotta know how to fight with that kind of stuff. And then 20 to 30s, little bit, this is not for everybody, and then coordination of the region and the habits, so integrate of the physical science there. And then 30 to 35, and then little bit, dialectic school is a philosophy, psychology, and sociology, law, and government, and then all kind of stuff is like that. And then over 50 is kind of that's and higher philosophy. Think about it, and then after high school, it's like a 16 and 18, and then their paths is totally divided, right? One is for the kind of military service, and after that, and kind of another one is later on they do more kind of involved in the science there, and then they keep developing, but eventually their main goal is what? Study, being a philosopher, right? little bit higher philosophy they teach, wanted to teach, right? And just think about it, how much is similar to our education, right? Yeah, there is singing and dancing. I don't know dancing class, but when I was in the school, until high school, and I have a music class and art class, and one of the topics was art, and one of the topics is music. So I know when I come to a lot of people, they don't read the note in music, but they sing very well. But we learn the kind of notes, right? We have to memorize all the what is the note names and figure it out, kind of minor and majors, and then all kind of musical theories, But when I came here, a lot of people they don't know how to, So at least you can play the piano if you know the kind of which one is the C, D, E, F, G, and then But here they don't know about that kind of stuff, right? This education is focused really different. I know they have when I watch my kids, and then they don't have music class. Their district doesn't have a music class, and then maybe suppose 5th grade, 6th grade they have a band. That's all. But there is no orchestra in my district, and then there is no formal education. But sometimes there is art class, and once a month, and they came and they do something, but not like in the regular curriculum. So when I was in school, I know it's a 20th century education. It's not a 21st century education. Elementary and junior high, and every week, the timetable, right? And maybe mathematics is 4 hours, but music is 1 hour per week. And art is 1 hour, like this, they assign. But I think it's, American education system is a little bit different from the European styles. I think, when I see the kind of Korea, and then they follow the kind of European, Western style, not the American style. Anyway, what about the Roman period? Roman is after conquered Greece, then 146, and then recruited the Greek educator to develop their own education system. They are smart, right? And their education really practical and subsidized and organized and administrated commendable network of elementary or secondary schools and institution for the higher education. There's education is really organized. Just think about Plato and Aristotle, and Aristotle he doesn't think about like a higher education in philosophy, like a philosophy education, but Plato has one. But some scholars put together and developed the Romans education styles, and one of them is kind of Quintilian, around 35 to 95, the mature level of individuals and the mental and physical differences, and then not excessive, the corporeal kind of a physical punishment. Really use the encouragement and reward for education, and really practical. They provide a really practical subject to relate to life like this. That is kind of a little bit different. One of the kind of examples that really how Romance education is really practical, right? Here is one of the example of Romance education though. Here it is. Just think about your education background and then think about what you learn, right? The period of your the ages. There is kind of how many levels? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. How many education levels do we have nowadays? Kindergarten. There is no kindergarten in kindergarten, but here in the kind of part of school and elementary and junior high is a kind of grammar, and college is kind of college age is kind of not the college level, but we call it high school level. University is kind of I don't know, 25 to 40, between, I don't know what they're doing. Usually, so there is no any private academies. It's really popular in here. Homeschool is 0 to 6, home period in the elementary and school. That is based on the school, right? And then, what about the instructional curriculum though? Home, usually basic instruction in the duty related to the home. Girls is homemaking, cooking, cleaning, making clothes, and boys are character and moral development and respect of elders is totally different though, right? So recently I read kind of an article about sexuality. They say it's based, it's from the, it's developed from the what? In Greek Roman period. So they don't give them a lot of benefit and to women's education, and then they already set the kind of their roles, and that's why they gender kind of sexuality, gender is kind of divided, sexuality is divided, right? And sex, based on the sex, right? Sexuality and sex is different, right? And so based on the sex, they have a different education system. So usually girls really, their education focuses on what the women's are doing at home, and then guys are outside the home, right? Kind of mentality we have it. So a lot of people, not nowadays in America, but when I was in Korea, a lot of didn't work, stay home and support the family, right? Like this. What about the elementary? Taught by the Lord Magister or literator. Then the content consists of primarily reading, writing, and arithmetic, counting, plus, minus, division, and multiply, all kind of stuff. And then that's elementary. They read a lot, right? Write a lot. What about the grammar? And primary, it's not, it's a grammar, it's kind of taught by grammaticals or the literatures. The content is what? Liberal art, right? Several liberal art, grammar, rhetoric, how to speak, and dialectic, how to debate, and music, arithmetic, geometry, and astronomy. That one is kind of in junior high school now in America. Which is really similar. What about college age? College age in as a school of the rhetoric and kind of the content, the grammar, rhetoric, and dialect. So little bit kind of to prepare to go to upper level, right? The age is kind of 16, 17, 18. It's like almost 3 years, a little bit, But universities like 25 or 40, maybe the university will roll and taught courses in law, medicine, philosophy, architecture, mathematics, and rhetorics. Little bit like now it's kind of college, and then they divide the specific, topics, right? So just think about it. Our education is kind of in America, it's really focused on the really pragmatics, because John Dewey and James, right? And really pragmatic and then practical, but that's why it's similar to the Rome's education system, and then in California has two kind of college systems. I don't mean that the junior college and then junior college is a lot of provide job skills, and then if you want to study more, and then they can transfer to four-year college, and then there's a state college and UC, right? University California University, and then two different education systems. UC is a little more academic, and then state university more, kind of practical, pragmatic, so a little bit different. And there is kind of difference between Rome education and Greek education. Maybe you guys kind of have something in mind because of the we learned the Greek education, and then what is the big thing is kind of they are really like abstract and mindful things, but that one is not like that, really practical, practical, right? So little bit the Greek education is creative, and Rome is the concrete and kind of imaginative, and then, but not really though. But subjective, but really practical. Practical means subjective means kind of have your own things, but practical is not applied to others, right? And artistic, realistic. Artistic and constructive. Maybe you can express some other things in abstract way and different way, but it's a constructive for one, maybe, right? And you can help others, idealistic and realistic. Minimal administrative capability, but extensive administrative capability. So it's a little bit different. Few practical tendency with minimal intellectual pursuit, really focus on the practical things like Greek. Look at the Platonic education system in public education system is what the final goal is studied higher philosophy, right? Very different. Look at this, and then made a contribution to the field of art and made contribution to the field of law. Different the philosophy and literature and architecture and city government and lifestyle kind of you appreciate the beauty like aesthetic enjoyment and the appreciation of the natural beauty, but little value of the aesthetic or enjoyment in life because the value are more utilitarians, right? Look at this, and then watch the beautiful and good, but watch the force and effectiveness, and sought to enjoy life rationally and nobly, live life by rules and authority. Prefer the immediate gratification, but willing to wait for the happiness we have to endure and waiting for. And then this one is kind of taught, beauty, culture, poetry, and art, and taught law, duty, responsibility, and then I know we cannot say this education system is this and Greek oriented. This education system is Rome, kind of a Rome oriented. But in my opinion, and when you go to European countries, really, the Greek already kind of bound, kind of laid out the foundation of the Western education. Really focus on that part a lot. That's why a lot of art but just think about American education system is a little bit foundation is pragmatism. That's why like this. So even though we have the same education and people are different, they are unique and tendencies different, and that's why they can develop different things. What about, just think about Hebrew, and they have their own synagogue and family, and they have, rabbi, and their own educational system. Last week we saw kind of depends on the period, and they developed their own education system. But usually, and they adopted, and they have their own things, and then look at this age up to 6, home-based education, and age 6 to 12, and then synagogue schools in which literary and mathematically training accompanied with the religious instruction, and 12 to 16 in comprehensive study of the law in a small group at the feet of a rabbi. That one is a law is a little bit like the religious law, and then I don't know whether you guys went to there is an Orthodox Jewish here, right, in America, and sometimes you can see Orthodox is coming, they wearing the small hat, and then sometimes they're wearing the black, dress, and then when I went to Israel, literally they have some things here and a lot of things in the Old Testament Bible said it, and they did exactly decorate their bodies with key to remember the God's word. I didn't know what they were in their forehead, and then I did that. I didn't know what was that, and then I thought that was a flashlight. So kidding. But they have small boxes here. They kind of the word of God wrote, and bought it in here, carried in forehead. According to the Bible verse. And 16 through the other two, the individualized and higher education in the law, and there is theology under the supervision of the respected authority. They have their own education system like they developed, right? Okay, let's go a little bit. That one is kind of an ancient period. But what about around Jesus' time, after Jesus, and then 0 to around 500, and the Christian education is really teaches about doctrinal instruction and training, godly behavior. After kind of imitating Jesus Christ, right? Their education really focuses on what Jesus Christ has done and what Jesus Christ had taught, right? Their education is really focused on that one. And they, at the time, the Romans, Romans origin, and they participate in Roman schools, and then home education and instruction is really important and pivotal for their community because it helps them keep their identity. And there is education about kind of catechismental instruction. So it's really I don't know whether catechism you guys have learned, and providing fundamental doctrinal kind of orientation and moral education and instruction and reading and writing. But nowadays it's the Protestants have a kind of catechism, and like this, what is the purpose of a life? And they to live a life of glory to God, for glory, and then enjoying Him. Like this. It's a simple. Like this, and then they kind of teach and there is kind of main important kind of things and make a question and answers, right? That is education time. And there is a school in like 179 by partners in the large Christian community at Alexandria, Egypt. So it's more in Caesarea, Antioch, and Edessa and Libis, and there's a lot of schools there to try to teach the student about the Jesus Christ, the word of theology, right? And and this catechetical schools accompanied with formalized conversion, and then they should be a Christian. Otherwise, maybe they kind of aim at kind of converting to Christians. So help them to understand Christian and then let them be Christians, right? And then kind of right with baptism within the Christian churches, and then you gotta learn, that is a public baptism is a public public announcement in front of people. I'm more Christian, and then I will follow Jesus Christ like that, and then based on that one is a lot of they kind of provide and they try to reach out to people and educate like this, and then that was one of their goal, and then really the education kind of gradually institutionalized by church and by kind of school. It's not just small and kind of organized and then and organized. So they used a lot of various forms of Greek and Roman educational methodology. So it's not just always there's a lot of methodology out there, and then how can you do that? And you can grab this one and grab and do and make it kind of eclectics, and then kind of make your own things and then teach them, right? That way. So one of the examples is kind of there's an Oregon, and like he developed a kind of catechetical school at Alexandria and integrate Greek philosophy and Christian doctrine. So he's kind of apologetics, and he teaches a lot, and like Paul, and when you read and Acts, and he has a lot of knowledge of Greek philosophy and education. He used it. He said right, and he used it, and he employed he used the standard Greek educational methodology, and really that's why he argued people a lot and tried to convince them in apologetics, right? Apologetics, utilize allegorical approach to Bible interpretation. Personally, I don't like it. He ignored kind of literal meaning and contextual meaning, kind of literal meaning and understanding the Bible in the context and cultural context, and then and the synthetical context, semantical context, he ignored it. So try to see the person kind of try to get rid of really insightful idea from the verses. But the Christian education is a training of the professionally clergy in cathedral or monastic school by the 4th century. So there is kind of already we said a kind of organized and institutionalized gradually, and then the monastic, the monks stay there, and then they develop the school and teach people, right? And then cathedral and there's different kind of monastic kind of away from the city, like the desert, they build their own community. Cathedral is coming in the city, right? And now it's coming churches, Education is popular, but usually their education is not like the job, vocational education, right? What about the around 500 and 1500 kind of medieval period, and then begun to withdraw from the moral decadence of the Roman cultures. One of the reasons that the Romans kind of fell was and they lost morality. It's really different. And then I don't know whether you guys go to Pompeii in Italy, and you can see what they practice. Maybe not that much difference from nowadays, and then really advanced, and then theories kind of not that much different from nowadays people practice. And and try to kind of away from the Roman education, because the morality is very bad, and provides a formal education through a monastic community around the 350 and there is and Greece in Greece, and then there is Basil and Rome, and there is Jerome, and then they're one of the people who developed. And then what about after the Germanic conquest of the Roman caused the church to take care of the education? After that, the fall of the Romans and the church kind of has church had took over the education, right? That's a little bit different. So just think about it here, and then the practical orientation of institutional Christianity with the lack of central government authority to produce the Dark Ages, and then education was not effective to teach people, and then little bit impractical, and then little bit behind their power, and then in that way, they educate people, right? That's why kind of it caused to produce dark ages, right? So Christianity has become a nominal religion. So they big is kind of but has power. They were the Christianity was big and then had power in the society, and then but kind of losing their essence, right? Little by little. That was the dark age. So in a lot of areas, the dark ages nothing to say much, nothing much to say, and then because nothing much kind of developed, and then we said, and then Christianity became nominal, and then everybody's kind of the Christianity is a culture, right? But people doesn't really think about what they believe or how they do it, and it's just part of a culture. Become a nominal, right? What about Christian education between around 1300 to 1500? At that time, so Renaissance is also really big for the Christianity, because the Renaissance was kind of intellectual awakening for education. However, Christianity is kind of lost the opportunity to claim the course of the history of the kingdom of God. It means that they go back to the Renaissance is kind of they would like a nominal status, and they want to see more seeking for a kind of something through the Greek and Roman period, and go back and they use kind of critical things, and then the Renaissance is kind of a bridge to the modernism, right? And then just think about, we don't develop stuff and then became nominal, and then Christianity nothing too much there, right? That's why they lost their opportunity. Little bit critical on Christianity at that time, and then just think about the history. God in control, and God is leading the whole history, but from that time, they lose the kind of power. So, and public and private schools are establishing, churches, and then lost the control of education, right? There is a lot of private colleges coming out, and then schools are coming out, and churches kind of losing their control. And one of his educators, the kind of the cultural trend, and then he wants to do something, and there was a Victorino factory, right? Factory, and then operate from the distinctly Christian value system, right? And blend the fine art education innovation with advanced insight to human development. So just think about the liberal art, fine art education, and how can the human kind of development, a lot of education at that time, public education divided by ages, and then try to kind of use that one, and then really focus on the values, right? So, and they really focus on the enrichment of human character and elegance to learn, So it's based on their faith, right? So one of it is kind of try to against kind of the trend of the education. He's trying to do different things, right? So if you have time, and I want you to study about the kind of a Renaissance, how influential, and then they start a critical exam of and the Roman period, and then Greek period, and they want to see literature and all kind of stuff and bring back and they develop and then use it, right? And France and Italy is one of the countries kind of popular movement at the time. So Christian education and the Renaissance, and then around we just did, and then who is another one though? Desiderius, Desiderius Erasmus. He's a famous guy, and then he received education under the Brighton of the Common Life in Netherlands, and then become a priest of the humanism. So humanism is a really focused on and how we get kind of a turnaround from the God-centered education, but turnaround from the God, and then from the God and face it to the human-centered, and then he really criticized ignorance, immorality, and superstition related to educational progress and then innovation. So he is really and his criticism of the kind of institutionalized churches primary impetus for the Protestant Reformation. So, do you know? And they become nominal, and they losing the essence, and that's why Protestant Reformation is kind of a star against the nominal churches, right? He supported of the general biblical morality. His spelling is wrong, and then but he is kind of distinctive Christian testimony. So just think about it's a Christian has Christianity is a kind of a really distinctive kind of a morality, though, how to live, how to engage with the values, right, from the Bible. But that is kind of a unique things that you can show to people. But he's kind of emphasized that one. Around 1500 to 1600, and then there is coming philosophers there, and really Michelson, and then Aldrich, Zwingli, and John Knox. All people are the kind of the reformers. They try to kind of refute the Catholic churches, and then they try to reform the churches, right? And one of the biggest persons is Martin Luther. Martin Luther is he's the Augustinian monk, prior is a monk, and a professor at the University of Wittenberg. I already said that, and then church kind of so getting loose ground because more ground because the private and college and private kind of schools and colleges are coming out, right? And Renaissance kind of movement is really contributed to the movement. So revolted against the oppressive and unbiblical practice, right? And kind of it's a lot of stuff is from the, just think about at that time, they don't know the Latin, but they have to read the, only older people cannot understand, they cannot read the Bible. Only the priests, sometimes if they don't know the Latin, and they recite everything in Latin, right? But sometimes they don't know what it means in their situation, and then a lot of unbiblical stuff is going on, and that's why he's really against that one. And then he posted in 95 theses, and then that one is kind of starting the there is kind of like John Knox and Gibbonly and Melanchthon, and there is kind of a previous, they keep working on the little different way, and but kind of Martin Luther King is Martin Luther is maybe kind of cultivated in their kind of against Catholic, right? So he translated Bible so that the ordinary people can read the Bible, right? And he committed to singular authority of the Scripture, become central tenet of evangelism. It's the only scriptura, it's a kind of only fide. That was one of the big kind of motto at the Reformers, sola scriptura, and then they emphasize what Bible said. We gotta follow it. We gotta study the Bible. But before, a lot of ordinary people, they don't know. Even they go and they have kind of a communion, and they listen, but they don't understand, right? Can you remember the Erasmus kind of criticism? He's really, that's a big contribution though in education. So translate the Bible and then help the ordinary to understand the Bible, right? That's a big thing for the evangelism. One of the big guys for education at that time is Calvin, John Calvin. The book is really famous in Institutes of the Christian Religion. He all kind of thought this in there. So big books like this, translated English, and then two is a big, two books, and then he was responsible for exegeting the Bibles and exegeting the kind of Bible, right? And then try to kind of apply the theological scriptural understanding to their life, and then they always kind of concerning about these kind of nationals of nature of the national churches and personal life. So exegeting the Bible and apply how they have the theological knowledge too, right? Teaching. Right? And they influenced the European and American government and education. Just think about it, how America is established a long time ago, and then that's why they say in God. But nowadays it's kind of trying to remove one by one. But it's really, big influence, to Western society. So, try to put together between the sovereignty of God and any sphere of the authority of on earth, and then it means that God has a sovereign power to control everything from God. God is in control, right? But just think about how can you put together authority like a government on earth. And there is some Bible verse in the Bible, but verses in the Bible sometimes it doesn't. It's not it's not enough to understand. But what about this situation? What about this situation? What about, and then he developed, right? He tried to put together. And then he did not reject the contemporary educational theory and methodology at the time, and then but still tried to fulfill the objectives of education aligned with the ultimate aims and behavior guidance of the scripture. So he's really big guys, and just think about he knows the current education system, and then clear there is kind of an object of education, and then how can we put in apply the principle in our life, right? That's why one of the big examples is work, right? How can we work? And then he developed the kind of theology, and then there is at that time it's always just think about Dark Ages, and there was an elite, and the priest job is kind of higher level of the work, but just think about the people of Bake and other stuff is kind of lower level of job. But he said everybody has different calling, everybody's unique, and everybody's endowed. God endowed the gift to everybody, and then he can use it. So there is no any good or bad, and there is no higher, there is no lower job. That's kind of he developed it. So the Calvin's kind of theology influence of influence a lot. They followed the Calvin's theology is reformers. Reformer denominations they follow the Calvinism, and then Lutheran follow the Lutheran theology. What about the Christian education in the post-Reformation period, like 1600 and then 1800? There is we can see one of the important figures, and Johann Amos Comills, and then is kind of considered as the father of the modern education, and he received the Lutheran theological education at the University of Heidelberg, and his work gave him kind of motivation and perspective of Christian heritage. And he's really kind of he developed the kind of really important he's really focused on the kind of lifelong learning, and then really kind of a gradual development and lifelong learning. Just think about Christian education it's not like a formal education, and we try to learn about God, and then we kind of our knowledge applied to our daily life, but our basic understanding of a human being, we cannot be perfect, but we fail and fail. That's why but we still practice to be better. It's kind of sanctification. We become like Jesus Christ. That's why Christian education is a lifelong process. So he emphasizes that one. So, and really, but he doesn't lose the logical thinking, right? And he doesn't emphasize just the memorization and the equal opportunity, but he claimed the equal opportunity for education, right? Yeah, like this. So, and education for women and universal practical instruction. So, he's a little bit different, from the dark ages and then totally coming out, and then he based on the what? The reformers' foundation, he developed more, right? Just think about we don't have any partiality between the woman and man, and then it's not acceptable. What about the education though? It's not acceptable, right? Always man-centered, but he kind of claimed the woman kind of support the woman's education, right? And support kind of equal opportunity for the impoverished children. That's why. And he did a lot of stuff. So, the modern education, just think about based on the what? From the Renaissance, that's why, and Renaissance kind of rejected the biblical education and theological stuff, and then just think about it. He tried to restore the Christian heritage, right? And but he go beyond the history, and then he developed more, right? And heritage, I mean. And one of important figures is Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and then he born in French Calvinist family and had a Buddha Switzerland. That's a family, but the Calvinism background is give them really conservative, right? Reformative. That is kind of the Emily give the ideas about education from the infancy to early childhood, and then they developed a lot. Just think about how kids are developing, and then that's a treatise, and then give them a lot of influence on the education though. So in the beginning, that one is Rules is kind of he accepts partially human is good from the beginning. It's a totally different from the Christian perspective, and then that's why the book is kind of prohibited by churches at the time, and then Let's see, Christian education in the 19th centuries. I think so. I think so you heard about a lot, right? And I think so. And he originated in the modern psychologically oriented approach to learning theory, pestology, and then influenced throughout Europe and the United States. So, mark the point at which the world of education shifted to a dependence upon man rather than God for answers like the great questions. Just think about it. It's a really turnaround from, the little bit turnaround, focus on ourselves, right? And passive, kind of and he believed that improved society reform must begin with the individuals. The individual must be taught to help himself. Education can develop the innate power of individual and improve itself and society. That's why little bit he's really kind of religious. He's kind of turning from the religious education to kind of active human kind of centered education, right? I can say that way. So shifted to dependence upon man, rather than the God for the answers to life great questions. Sometimes we cannot get a lot of answers directly from the Bible. So we gotta use the kind of logics, and we gotta know how to interpret with the different settings and different principles to kind of try to infer the answer from them. That is a big thing, though, right? What about Johann Hobart? This guy, that is still German. He's too. The guy is a German educator. He's German educator, and then no, pestology is Italian. No, I'm really confused. So John Hobart is German educator. Is kind of he's kind of founding figure of modern psychology and educational theory. He kind of he has he's really challenging what is the Germans can be influenced by Greek philosophy and then really idealistic, right? And then he challenged it and tried to get the practical, and psychological kind of education, right? So diversity is really important, And when you see the German philosophy like Kant and a lot of people, really great philosopher, because they are really trained well and really the good soil of the philosophy, and then they studied, and then they developed a lot of thought and influenced the world. But he challenged the world. But Wilhelm and August Froebel, he's the Heinrich Pestologist student, and he really emphasized the kind of concept of kindergarten. Just remember that he developed education system, kindergarten education system, and developed the educational toy on the probably gifted. I don't know exactly. I never seen the one, but yeah, he developed a kind of emphasis on the young, really kind of young adult kids education, right? And modern times, we kind of Christian education is kind of church did a lot of part. I know that the private college established by the kind of churches, and then sometimes boundaries there, and they were in charge of the Christian education though. So like the Biola is one of them, and also the Wheaton is and Moody and here, and a lot of Christian colleges out there. It's really influential though. A lot of Christian families want to send their kids to Christian college because they are faith, right? And so Sunday school started by the work of the was a kind of a Hannibal or the Robert Race in England, was the specific purpose of providing moral instruction for the kids, right? That they studied, Just think about the young man's Christian YMCA, and then the Young Women's Christian Association also, impacted in Christian education, right? And what about YMCA, YWCA? What about William James and John Dewey? Based on the thinking, their thinking upon relativistic philosophical, psychology. Maybe it gives us a good influence, but sometimes they judge these two presuppositions, and instead of favor idealism and pragmatism. And so kind of from that time, the Christian education is kind of turned to pragmatism, right? That's a big influence, though. Okay, can we take a break about 5-10 minutes so we can continue for the next, and then I'm going to cover the rest of the 20th century and 21st century, and then